Right. Welcome back to the House Environment Committee. We are going to be changing topics to H 928, an act relating to technical corrections to fish and wildlife statutes, and seeing what the Senate has proposed so far in this bill.
Yes. So I'm Bradley Shulman, Office of Legislative Counsel, and I will go over the draft 6.1 of the amendment to Act 928. This has passed out of the Committee on Natural Resources, but it is currently with the Finance Committee. And so I've done some amendments. I've drafted some amendments related to hunting. And Mike has drafted amendments related to PFAS. And I let him know about this. I think he's coming in at 2:30 to talk about a different bill, but I let him know that this is up as well to see if he could get here a little bit early so he can take over and go over those sections.
Good. I was just, because I wasn't sure when you were going to come. I was seeing if you could come earlier.
Okay, yeah.
Is that draft available?
And it's draft 6.1.
Committee page.
And Representative Sheldon, I sent that to you.
So I can email it to everyone. If
I got 1 point.
Okay.
Did you email it directly to me?
Yeah, I did email it directly to you. Like, not know the correct committee assistant.
Oh, yeah, in transition.
Actually forwarded to.
Did you?
Yeah, I can.
That you just said.
That.
Last name.
Me, but I think he has, you can send it to me.
Send it to everyone.
Yeah, I just sent that to you. You should get it in just a couple moments.
Also just emailed it to her. You characterize the nature of these changes?
Yes. And so this bill changes some points violations for bears, deer, and turkeys. It makes some amendments to the Champion Lands provisions that was amended in the House bill. And then it adds some compliance and enforcement authority for a certain consumer products related to PFAS and products and prohibiting the sale of products that contain PFAS. And so if the committee's ready for me, I can start going over the changes in the hunting pieces. So and I can also just share my screen.
That would be good.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I just sent a request to.
Also, it's in everybody's email.
Okay.
We are on page 1. All right, we are on page 1. And look at the first instance of amendment here. And so this is a little, you'll remember the points from the bill as passed by the House. And it can be a little confusing. And there's an added layer of trying to understand what's happening because the Senate is proposing to amend what the House has done. And so I'm going to try to clarify this to the best of my ability. So here, subsection SS is amending the 10-point violation section. So you remember there's 10-point violation sections and 20-point violation sections. And so this subsection amends a 10-point violation section, and it just repeals this feeding deer provision entirely, and which is in the House bill, but the House bill also included an appendix, a subdivision 5.3, which related to harvesting more than one black bear in a year. And so that was a 10-point violation in the House bill, and now it's being proposed to be restored to a 20-point violation in the Senate bill. So under current law, it's a 20-point violation, and it's being restored to a 20-point violation in the Senate bill. And these are by request from the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
I have a question. I don't remember we repealing the feeding of deer. And so is it no longer a violation to feed deer?
Oh, I believe it. Let me just double check.
Perhaps.
My deer management rule.
We didn't vote to repeal.
I don't remember that. That wasn't part of our bill.
And so let me just pull up the has passed by version. And so it is subsection SS on the as passed by version of the House. And so I have it up on my screen, and you see that there. And let me double check, because the corresponding section for,
Yeah, it's going to another section.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
and so this is the as passed by version that's on my screen right.
Okay.
And so what it did was it repealed the feeding piece and then added Appendix 7 of the bear management rule. And so that's why it appears unusual on the Senate side, because what the proposal is to just repeal the deer feeding rule and keeping the the piece related to bears, hunting of bears, is moved to a 20-point violation, which is where it is in current law. And so that's why it says repealed here, because there's nothing left in this statute, in this piece.
But is it a violation to feed deer?
And so it is neither a 10 nor a 20-point violation to feed deer. I'm looking at, if we can jump ahead on Appendix 37 is the deer management rule. And so 9.0 is the feeding of deer. And just taking a look here. 9.0 is not
I see.
in the actual 20-point violation. So if it's not a 10-point violation, it's not a 20-point violation, it's a 5-point violation. And it could be, and there could also be other penalties involved in doing that, but that is the proposal here from my notes.
Representative Pritchard?
Is there a difference? Is there difference between feeding and baiting? And is that why they did the 5-point for feeding?
That much, I'm not sure on the policy rationale. And so I can pull up the statutes. I don't have the full statute in front of me. I've got the notes printed off.
Because that's in feeding.
Yeah, and
Feeding. No, for feeding,
No,
for baiting, I would think so.
I realize the Middlebury students need to leave soon, and this is a great example of the, what we call popcorn, legislative aerobics, mental aerobics. So we go from the sublime sometimes to the somewhat ridiculous. And, I'm sorry, you're not going to be here for the producer responsibility conversation that will be starting at 2:30. But I'm very glad you're able to come.
37, number 9.
good moment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Best of luck. Sorry to trust you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is my mistake here. Feeding.
Thank you.
So if we'll recall, and this is why this section is hard for me anyway to wrap my brain around. I think.
Chairs. You need 4 chairs?
There's 2 here, there's 2
Okay.
here. Each-
Can we, 4 chairs?
Oh, 2.
Bring back 2.
2 more. Pick her in.
Just gonna double check one more note. So, you know, thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
so one thing to recall from going over this is that sometimes the things got out of whack with what were in the statute versus what is in the appendix. So we'll recall that the department will do rulemaking to amend what's in the appendix. And we'll recall sometimes those things don't match up. Sometimes they just kind of get out of alignment. So the purpose of this was to align those specific items. So feeding of deer is actually number 13 in Appendix 37. And we'll see that it is not, and I'm just gonna, no person shall feed white-tailed deer at any time in Vermont except. Take a look. Baiting is different and baiting is 14.
Yeah.
And so feeding the deer is no longer the violation, but baiting, no person shall take deer using bait is a 20-point violation. And that is being moved to the 20-point violation piece.
Hmm.
And so this is just a long roundabout way of saying that, let me pull up my statute again. It's a roundabout way of saying that this section 9.0 feeding deer, that section 9.0 of Appendix 37 deals with archery. And so the statute itself gets so far out of whack that sometimes it's hard to kind of keep track of like what is a violation, what isn't a violation. And so that's part of the impetus for updating these things. And so apologies while you sat with me while I kind of tracked it from where it was changing from point A to point B to point C. But baiting deer is a 14-point, is in the 20-point violation section, and we'll go over that.
But under feeding, you said except. What is the except? There shouldn't be any except.
Under a license or permit issued by the department for bona fide scientific research, mitigation of wildlife nuisance problems, or wildlife reduction programs only, by planting or cultivating or harvesting crops associated with bona fide agricultural practices, cutting of trees and bush. Things of that sort. Okay, so now we're moving on to the bear management rule. And the bear management rule is 2 different sets of notes about what's changing and what is staying the same. Let's pull this up. So the bear management rule is adding a couple of sections. So you'll notice that 5.3 here is not underlined, so it's just restoring it to a 20-point violation. But they're adding a couple of things to the 20-point violation for the bear management rule, and I'll go over those now. So 4.0 and 4.1 are seasons and shooting hours. So 4.1 is early and late season. And 4.1 defines when the early season starts, when the late season starts, and 4.2 is shooting hours and violations, right? And so, you know, those are in current statute. 5.3, again, is a person shall not harvest more than 1 black bear per calendar year, not to include animals taken pursuant to the bears doing damage rule. And I can go over the rest of these that are currently in statute, or I could just go over the changes wherever the committee prefers.
Representative Pritchard.
What was the 4.0 change? You said 4.1, but you didn't say list 4.
4.0 is the title of the section, seasons and shooting hours, and because everything is included, then it's seasons and shooting hours, and then it gets into kind of the the nitty gritty. So 4.1 defines what the early season is. 4.1A is
okay,
early
okay.
season. 4.1B is late season. 4.2 is shooting hours.
Okay. And 7.3 that they got rid of is,
And 7.3, what they got rid of is, and this will require some explanation. So hunting with dogs, while hunting with dogs, no person shall have in their possession an unregistered dog while possessing department registered dogs. And so it'll be helpful for me to actually pull up the statute so you can read along with me. And so I'm just going to share my screen differently. I'm just going to share the entire screen and I'm going to close my email so we don't get these pop-ups.
Plus what section of statute you're going to.
Yes, I can. And so what I will be going to is Title 10A and Appendix 7, which is the bear management rule. Okay. And so I'll show you 7.3. And so the rule is quite long. 7.3, while hunting of dogs, no person shall have in their possession an unregistered dog while possessing department registered dogs. So that's being removed from the 20-point violation. It is still a violation. In 6.3, 6.3 is not changing from a 20-point violation. And so 6.3B is a 20-point violation. No person shall take a black bear with the aid of any unregistered dog. No person shall have an unregistered dog in his or her possession while hunting, pursuing, or taking a black bear. And so, and the department can testify to this in terms of policy rationale, why they've chosen to write the statute the way they wrote the statute. Based on the most recent testimony from Hannah, 7.3 was taken out because it's redundant with what is up here in 6.3, which is a 20-point violation. And so you still can't take a person with an unregistered dog. You can't hunt or pursue with an unregistered dog. Excuse me. While hunting a black bear, you cannot have an unregistered dog in his or her possession. And 8.2 is being added to the violation. So we're looking at 8.2 is being added here. And close this, so I stop going back to it. And 8.2 is upon request of the game warden, the person harvesting the bear and the permit holder shall show and return to the kill site of the game. So those are the changes to the bear management rule. Questions on that piece? Okay. And so now we're on to turkeys. And so you'll recall from looking over this a little while ago, sometimes the statute would pin cite a violation, and sometimes it would explain the violations. And so the Department of Fish and Wildlife feels that pin citing, and I agree, pin citing is more accurate.
what's
Pin citing. So
what's that
you're
mean?
actually looking at the section. So you're naming the section number as opposed to just saying turkey season excluding requirements for youth turkey hunting season and the size of shots used, right? So instead of explaining, saying, explaining what it is, saying, okay, this is the reference.
You think the reference is more helpful than explaining?
And the only reason that I would say that is because it does offer clarity once you look at, okay, so Appendix 22 is a 20-point violation. So I know Appendix 22 sections 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4 are all 20-point violations. So let's go to Appendix 22. And so I'm in Title A, I'm in Title 10A, the appendix. And I've clicked on the wrong one. 22, not 12. Turkey season. I was talking about turkey season. And so it can tell you specifically that 4.1 through 4.4 are the 20-point violations. And then these are the 20-point violations. And so you can reference back to the statute and you can look to see what is the violation. Because it is not the case that everything in this Appendix 22 is a 20-point violation. So if it's how the statute works is if it's not a 10-point violation or a 20-point violation, it's a 5-point violation. So any kind of violations, at least 5 points. And but you have to enumerate the ones that are, you have to enumerate the ones that are 10 or 20-point violations by statute. And that's what they've done. You know, I mean, I suppose one person's clarity is the next person's confusion. And so perhaps there's that thing to consider. But these are 20-point violations. So they're clarifying that season violations for taking turkeys is a 20-point violation on a hunting license. We're also looking at 5.1, 5.2, and 5.4. And then so with the turkey seasons, it is talking about 5.1 is dates for certain implements to hunt with. So you're looking at bow and arrows with crossbows, shotguns and bows, arrows and crossbow season. And so the different implements that you use to hunt on different dates. And so you can go into the statute and determine what that is. And then we're also 5.2 and 5.4 are also 20-point violations. So shooting hours, you can look 1/2 hour before sunrise and 1/2 hour after sunset. And then legal turkey is any wild turkey. 5.3 is not the violation. My apologies. See? Bag limit, 1 turkey per person. And so it's important to kind of just, as we go back and forth between kind of granularly looking at the statute, looking at the violation, and then matching it up with what's in statute, that's how the public gets instruction on what these violations are. And if they're accused of a violation, can determine, okay, did I do that or not, and present their potential defenses to the violations if they'd like. 6.4 and 6.5 are also 20-point violations. And so 6.4 is rifles are not to be carried by any person while hunting turkeys, and a person taking a turkey with a crossbow or a bow and arrow may carry a handgun in accordance with the law. However, that person may not use the handgun to take a turkey. And no person shall use dogs in the spring, nor electronic calling devices, bait, live decoys, or participate in cooperative drives during either season. People can hunt with dogs so long as it's not prohibited. And so the prohibitions are out and are laid out in certain ways, in certain violations and things of that sort.
Representative
Is
Austin?
that specifically for hunting turkeys that they can't use dogs or?
And so each section will have restrictions on how you can use dogs, registering the dogs, how many that you can take with them. We can go back over the bear section, but they do have regulations about how many dogs you can have. You can't hunt with a pack of dogs unless you're teaming up with someone with a permit and things. And so that there are regulations to that, and penalties for having unregistered dogs. So in addition to maybe registering with the municipality, you need to register your animal with the department. And then, the game warden goes out and enforces those registration requirements and things. And so if he sees a dog that's not registered, that's on the ground while you're hunting a bear, that's probably going to be a violation unless there's some really other compelling reason why that dog is there. And things of that sort.
But is number 6 specifically for turkeys or is it,
Yes,
you can hunt turkeys with dogs?
you cannot.
You cannot hunt. Oh, okay.
Some states have fall seasons
Is
with
it-
dogs.
So I'm confused. Is there a fall season for shooting turkeys? So in the fall, can they use dogs?
No.
Why does it say spring?
Can't use them. Right. It looks like that's specific to the fall season, what you have up right now.
I'm just going through their changes, so just a moment.
Spring is 2, the fall is 1.
Yeah, and sometimes,
That's all fall
Here's the-
regulations.
And so you would go through the fall regulations
Mhm.
to look at what the regs are for the,
Mhm.
gotcha. Okay, just the spring.
Yeah.
the Spring just kind of, I couldn't figure that out.
yeah, and I might need to double check on that. I don't see dogs in the fall as a 20-point violation. And, but I would need to just double check on that piece. Yeah. And deers. And so the deer management rule is another one that's kind of going from an explanation to citing specific sections. And so we can go over these sections.
This is different from our, as passed.
Oh, and the just pull up my notes on what changed. Yeah, like more changed.
The sections.
So here's the thing with looking at it as an amendment, and so it's all changed from the underlying statutes, but it's not necessarily it is not necessarily changed from what you folks passed, what the House passed. And so my notes are. So number 37 in the House passed version, it's 7.4, 8.4, 9.4, 9.5, 12.2, and 14. And then so the ones that that the Senate is proposing to change are 5.1, 6, 6.1, 6.2, 7.1, 7.2, 8.1, 8.2, and 9.1. I can go over those.
Where are they all under?
And so they're all underlined because the core statute, this is one of those sections where the statute that is being amended by both the House version and the Senate version is this crossed out text. And so the statute currently reads the crossed out text, deer management rule. So anything that's not underlined or not crossed out is what's in the current statute. And so they're taking it from the, kind of using words to refer to these sections to actually just referring to the section number. And so it's all underlined because it's all a change from the underlying statutes. And so that's why it's confusing when you're comparing the House version and the Senate version. But suffice to say that more things are being added here to 20-point violations for the deer management rule. Okay. And so 5.1, and we can just look at the statute, because I think that's always helpful.
Do you have a sense of how many of these changed from ours? Like,
Yes. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 sections were added. From yours, and I can make like a kind of a
side by side. with
side-by-side comparison about what.
English descriptions.
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm not sure I'm on board with the deleting of the descriptors and statute. I guess if you're really quick with the online statute. All right.
Okay.
So now we're actually at the PFAS sections. that true?
So we can go over the deer management rule, just, I can go over that really quickly, and then I can turn over to Mike for the PFAS sections. Um, and so section 5.1 is not being able to take more than 4 white-tailed deer in a calendar year, and then so there's different seasons for hunting deer, and so 5.1 is not taking more than 4 white-tailed deer in a calendar year. And then, let's see, we're looking at 6.1 and 6.2 are season dates for the regular season, and then the limits within those regular seasons. So you'll have the overarching calendar year limit, and then you have limits within the given season. And the 7.0 is the October muzzleloader season, so it gives you the dates of that season and the limits.
7.0 is not the statute.
So 7.0 is the title of the section. So all of 7 is pertaining to October muzzleloader season, but all violations of the pieces in here are not necessarily all 20-point violations. And so for this, the proposal from the department is 7.1, 7.2, and 7.4 are the violations that would be 20-point violations. So the season dates, the limit, and then not carrying any fire alarms other than one single barrel muzzle-loading firearm as defined while hunting deer during the muzzleloader season. And so 7.3 and 7.5 are not 20-point violations. And so if they said 7.0, that would imply the whole section. They're saying 7.1, 7.2, and 7.4. Same thing with the December muzzleloader season. It's 8.1, the dates, 8.2, the limit, and 8.4, not carrying other fire alarms other than your muzzleloader. The same thing for the December muzzleloader season. That was the December muzzleloader season, and we're looking at the archery season. So same thing with the archery season. The season dates is 9.1, 9.2 is the limit, and then the limitations on the method of taking the animal. And 9.5 is also a 20-point violation. The holder of an archer license or a super sport license hunting with a bow and arrow or a crossbow may possess a handgun while archery hunting in accordance with the law, provided the license holder shall not take the game with the handgun. And then 12.2 is returning to the kill site upon request, and 14.0 is baiting. And that would be the violations. And so, and then the last change, other than PFAS, I'll go back to the bill. So those are the violations. And, but the piece right related to the champion lands is in the underlying bill, in the House bill. This section is crossed out entirely. And what the Senate is proposing is, okay, to remove the every 10-year requirement, but keeping the requirement to involve Vermont citizens and municipalities when developing and updating the long-term comprehensive plan.
And what page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on page 2. For updating the comprehensive management plan for portions of the land which are transferred to it. And so I believe the department has testified that they update those management plans every 20 years. It's based on my recollection. And so this requirement would keep it in there for the champion lands, the specific requirement that citizens and municipalities be included. And I'm not familiar. It is likely that that requirement is in their other planning materials as well, but I'm not 100%. I don't know the impetus of why putting that back in here was required.
You could confirm that it's in the other section also.
Okay.
Do members want a descriptive side by side?
Yes, please.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry to ask for that roundly, but I think we need it.
Okay, no problem.
I think it'll help everyone understand what we're doing. Members have questions on this section of the bill? Representative Richard.
Is there presently a working group for the Champion lands? So,
I'm not familiar. I can double check on that piece though.
Right. Thank you. I think we'll take a 5-minute break if you don't mind. Are you pressed for time, Michael?